Hi, and welcome to ThreatTraq Essentials. We're going to take a look at some everyday cybersecurity lessons that we can learn from this week's ThreatTraq stories. I'm here with Karen Simon, who was on the show this week. How are you, Karen?
I'm well, Don. How about yourself?
Great. Great to have you here today. Let's talk about some of the stories that we covered this week. Stan Norloff brought us a story about some malware for Android called Mandrake or Phoenix. Tell me about that malware. What does it do? Why is it so dangerous?
Well, it does what all these malware really does. It has quite a few components. It can steal financial information, your credentials. It goes on your Android device. It has the ability to wipe your phone if it wanted to, all different pieces to it. What was really interesting about this new piece of is malware is that actually it had been hidden for several years because it was very selective in terms of who it was infecting. While most of the time we see malware that got spread around and they try to infect as many devices as possible, these actors were actually trying to target specific users. They're trying to look at people who, they were in certain countries. They're looking to verify that they're impacting a particular device. And of course, what we all need to be careful about in these situations is that in many times you're downloading this because you're reacting to some kind of phishing site, or you're clicking on a link that is not secure, and you're infecting your machine with this malware that is very stealthy and hasn't been well publicized.
How does one prevent themselves from becoming one of those unfortunate select few that receives this malware?
Well, I think this is the same old boring advice that we give all the time, which is be really careful about what you're clicking on and what you're reacting to in your email, in your day-to-day, especially on your phone. I think we tend to do things very quickly. We're moving around and something's there and we just click. And I think really, unfortunately, we have to be much more vigilant, looking at the URLs where things are coming from, and really inspecting the emails we're getting and the links that we're getting to make sure that they're really legitimate.
Well, next, let's talk about the story that Mike Klepper brought to us. That was about a new version of TrickBot, which is a banking Trojan, right? What does that do exactly?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a lot of malware today on the show. We have another version of TrickBot. It was a little bit scary because it was not really even going into memory. It was just sitting on the machine live. It was encrypting some of its own information. And again, TrickBot especially is very hard to get rid of. It does move around in a network. This one was particularly talking about Windows environment, and so again, the same message goes, is that you have to be very careful in terms of what you're clicking on, and if you do suspect that your environment is infected with TrickBot, you have to have a very strong concerted effort to wipe those machines, get it off every single machine in your network. If there's one that's left, it will come back.
And lastly, there is yet another scam centered around this pandemic, this time regarding who? Tell me about that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had some Indian-based hackers this time who were setting up accounts and sending out emails that were asking people to sign up for WHO alerting for them to be given information. And they weren't just targeting just the average, spam user. They were very specifically targeting business leaders, healthcare professionals, consultants, people in the financial industry. And it all seemed extremely legitimate because these people would want to know from a global perspective what was going on to protect their organizations. in the case of COVID-19. And unfortunately, these bad actors were really just stealing credentials as they were impersonating the WHO. And the WHO, in and of themselves, have also been a target of various APTs, although it is not clear whether any of them have been successful.
So tell me, how do you prevent yourself from being a victim to a scam like this?
Yeah, again, I think it's, I hate to get boring and repetitive, but it really is very true that we all have to be very vigilant about what it is that we're seeing. And sometimes you can just check again, go back to the WHO, sign up on the WHO yourself. If you get an email that looks like the WHO is reaching out to you, delete the email, go to the WHO yourself, try to go in and try to sign up for their emails and verify that indeed you're at the right website, which you can do. So I think it's important for all of us to take a little bit of extra time to think about these things. One of the things that we do know is it's really fairly rare for some of these big organizations, for the government, for Social Security to actually reach out to us. They're kind of waiting for us to reach out to them. And in this case, I think it's probably a good idea for these governmental sites to not assume that when you receive something from them that it's always legitimate.
Okay, well, thank you for being on the show this week, Karen. Thank you to all of you watching. And if you want to get great advice like this every week, please like and subscribe below. And if you want to explore any of these stories deeper, click on the playlist below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.